was better, the death row pictures or the medical pictures?
Well, the medical pictures are great because it's an endless supply of what you can do with the human body. It's true.
We'll leave the rest of that to your imagination.
I do have some pictures back up in my room. And yes, that is a way to get you up into my room.
So then you're at Huffington Post. You actually, I think you told me, put up one of the very, very first posts at Huffington Post, which is, it turns out to be this sort of big liberal blog empire. When it first starts out, it's not as clear what it's going to be.
Yeah,
but by the time you leave, all the other contributors and most of the readers hate you.
So I decided, I'm going to treat the Huffington Post like a message board for the criminally insane shut-in, and start posting things like recipes. I found a sex toy on my lawn. Will someone claim it? And then I would use the names of the people on the blog, whether it was like, David Gergen. David Gergen, you left your cycling shorts in my basement. And I would just be treated like that as a way so that when the real politics came up, it made no sense. There'd be this serious piece that would come up, followed by an invitation to a strange party in my basement. Everybody bring Crisco. And then it would just move, and there would only be... So I just started doing that, and what happened was I ended up getting all the hits because nobody wanted to read this pretentious drivel. Instead, they were reading these crazy missives from outer space. Oh, I really enjoyed it, and over time, it was a lot of fun because it created so much hate and vitriol, and it ended up revealing that the most tolerant people in the world are the least tolerant. These are the people that pride themselves on being open-minded, but they're only open-minded if you agree with them. So I just kept poking them like a stick on roadkill until finally I got bored. And because there's only so much, and also they got tired of me and they started moving my my posts away into the back, and then I kind of started getting busy doing other things, and then Fox News called me, and I ended up at Red Eye. So
both your art at Huffington Post and also at Red Eye, you often use the word surreal. You're trying to bring sort of an extra dose of the surreal. Is that what American politics really needs?
Not at all.
Surreal?
I don't think so. It was the thing is, I only call it surreal because it's been told. I've been told it's surreal. But the reason why it's weird is because there are 6 people on the staff. We've got no money. And it's like, and I'm basically a strange person. So I thought, like when I'm described, I have a segment there called "I Draw the News," and what happens is we'll cover a story, and then I'll go, okay, let's go to I draw the news, and then I'll show, and it always involves a unicorn. I always draw a unicorn in the place of this important news item because I think it's interesting that why would a 44-year-old man be obsessed with unicorns? There's something wrong with him. But I'm talking about the news, and that kind of like just kind of what it does. Part of the reason I've created a fantasy world of where I have houseboys disappearing. Well, I'll be talking about a news item, and then I'd put up a notice like Rodrigo, who I picked up last night at Port Authority, has disappeared. Has anybody found them? The reason why I do this, and I didn't really realize it at the time, is it puts the people who consider themselves hip off balance. And for the longest time, the left have considered themselves the hip and the cool, and everybody else are dorks. And what I call it the Dean Wormer effect. If you remember Animal House, it's the conservatives who are Dean Wormer and everybody else is cool, and I want to reverse it so that it's the people who think they are cool who are defensive. So when I have guests on the show and they are confused by the things that I say, or do I really mean what I say, it puts them off balance, and they lose that I don't know, that thing that makes me want to throw up. I think it's just being a politically correct liberal. They can't do it on our show because it's a far stranger universe. It doesn't work.
So in your heart of hearts, are you a policy wonk? Is there anything that's like just a real kind of geeky issue that gets you excited? Because I think a lot of people who watch your show, they see, kind of in between the unicorns and the Crisco, there's actually some
Sometimes the unicorns and the Crisco come together.
Yeah,
and it's
that's only on Friday.
It's a beautiful thing, especially
really
when the
special.
X starts hitting. When you're rolling with a unicorn, whoa! But no, yes, there are. I'd say there are like 3 things that I could go off on forever, and one of them is global warming. I don't think we're doing enough to help. I'm kidding. It's the biggest scam ever devised. It's created by media-savvy folks who saw that they could get on TV much easier if they create concern. Among the media, crises are like sex without orgasm. It's pointless. You have to create a crisis for something to happen, and when it doesn't happen, you have the coming ice age. The Ice Age never happened, and I'm old enough to remember those magazines in the early 70s with that stuff on the cover. It's the same thing. They need to have a climax, and the global warming climax is we're all going to be poorer. That's it. They purposely ignore scientists who don't follow the party line. So I do that story a lot, and everybody hates it because even though they agree with it, it's boring. But the most boring things are the things that kill you. No one likes to talk about taxes because it's not exciting, but that's where they get you. And then the other thing that gets me pissed off is, I'm not a joiner. I didn't go to the tea parties, but what really pissed me off is the way the people were treated on other networks, made to look like cranks when they're just, everybody I knew that went to the tea parties had jobs and they owned things. They're not going to throw a chair through a window because they probably owned that store or they owned that chair. And they're just nice people. And so when I have a friend of mine, Joni, who owns 3 bars in Manhattan, never done a damn protest thing in her life, and she's down there in Manhattan. Those are the people. And I guess the other issue, the second issue, is that what pisses me off is the way the media portrays people that they disagree with. And they disagreed with the Tea Parties. They were far behind the story. They didn't know how to catch up. So rather than try to catch up, they made a joke out of it. They're a bunch of teabaggers. It's a really funny joke. It was like they kept saying it over and over again, but it was stupid and it was demeaning. The third thing is the drug war, which is a waste of human life and a waste of money. And we've been through this with prohibition. I don't know why we can't look at that and see that this thing is just killing our country. There are people. No pothead should be in jail. They're the nicest people on the planet. The worst thing they do is they eat all your food. That's not against the law. You can go through what are the crimes here? Cokeheads, they talk your ear off. They tell you stories that you don't want to hear. The next day, they regret it. But that is not a crime. Meth heads will take apart your toaster, try to put it back together. It never works, but you hide the toaster. That's all you do. You don't put the guy in jail. And what we're doing is we are putting people in jail who are following a natural human need, which is just to get out of life for a few minutes or for a few hours. And it just seems to me it's a horrifying thing. And I don't think it'll ever change because no politician will have the balls, or no politician that will be elected will ever have the balls to actually do something about it.
So I'm going to take one last question, and then we'll take a couple from the audience, which is, there's a small, it's a trend of 3, maybe a trendlet of libertarians, people calling themselves libertarians on television. You've got kind of the Bill Maher's, you've got the Glenn Becks, you've got you. Do we think this is something that's
it's a very
developing trend? Or
it's a very cool thing to use as a disguise. Bill Maher does not say he's a liberal. He says he's a libertarian. That's the reason why he does it. I can't say, I think Glenn Beck is a libertarian, but he's got a very strong religious component, and it's hard to put those two things together, I guess. But I think that a libertarian provides cover for a lot of people, and it's bullshit. Bill Maher is not a libertarian. He's not even close. He's a PC liberal. The fact that he called this show politically incorrect is an absolute lie. That is the most PC. If you watch if you watch Real Time and you watch what he does to those that don't toe the left-wing line, it's a crime. He'll have Professor Dyson on to talk for hours into this postmodern crap, and then he'll go to Andrew Breitbart, and then when Andrew Breitbart starts talking, he'll make a joke, and everybody will laugh. His trained SEAL audience of retarded nutbags will clap, and then the segment will end. So it looks like you saw two voices, but you really didn't. You heard this very long diatribe. Breitbart says something, joke ends, and I hate that guy. Anyway.